Limited calorie diet. No oils. 90 essential nutrients. Limited calorie diet, no oils, 90 essential nutrients, plant-derived minerals, and antioxidants. This is the secret for longevity. Limited calorie diet. By the way, this data was confirmed by doing a meta-analysis of the longest-lived people on the planet, people that lived in the so-called blue zone. Some guy from Harvard years ago wrote a book called The Blue Zones, in which he described indigenous cultures around the world who had extraordinarily long lifespans. There are a number of them all around the world, and the guy from Harvard, being an MD trained in reductionistic methodology, thought to himself that, it was something, genetic. There was something which was completely undecipherable by the mind of man that made these people live long. Something undecipherable by the mind of man, and they were guessing at this, that, or the other thing, right? Well, as it turns out, when you look at things from the proper perspective, everything makes sense. If you look at an iceberg from underneath the water, you see quite a bit more stuff there than you do if you just look at it from sea level. Unless you knew any better, you could reasonably conclude that it is the sun that moves around the earth, and you'd be wrong. It's the earth that moves around on its axis, and it only appears as if the sun is moving in the sky. The proper perspective brings everything into focus. So when you look at the people in the blue zones from the proper perspective, there are a number of things which you see that they all had in common. Every single one of them had limited calorie diets. Not because they wanted to, but because they were poor. With the Hunzas in Afghanistan, their growing season was only 2 months long because they lived at such a high elevation. They had something called starvation springtime, where all of the stores of all of their stuff would be depleted, and for a couple of months they're running on food fumes, rummaging around the countryside for scraps like the reindeer, for goodness sake. Starvation springtime. Forced limited calorie diets, not by choice, but by, the inevitable march of nature. They just didn't have it together. They were on limited calorie diets because they're poor. They didn't cook with oil. The longest-lived cultures, none of them used oil. It's an interesting story. The longest-lived people in the Mediterranean were a group of indigenous people living in the middle of the island of Sardinia, which is an island off of the toe of the boot of Italy, Sardinia. Sardinians that lived in the middle of Sardinia ate no oil, and they didn't like olive oil like everybody else did. As a matter of fact, they called the people on the mainland of Italy who ate olive oil all the time, like it was going out of style, they called them greasers. Well, of course, in their own dialect. Interesting. They didn't have any oil. None of the longest-lived cultures consumed oil. They didn't do it. They had animal fat, but they didn't, and butter and cream, but they did not use oil at all. And why is that important? Because oil contains acrylamide. And the more acrylamide that you eat, the more free radicals are in your body, and the more oxidative damage happens, and the more acrylamide is carcinogenic, amongst other things. So the more oils you eat in your body, the harder it is for your body. It's like poison. It's like a slow poison to the body. There's no other way to say it. Which begs the question, who told you to eat olive oil? Dr. Oz, who has no training, no clinical experience with medical nutrition. Who told Dr. Oz? The olive oil industry. I would have liked to have seen that check. Oh, yes, Dr. Oz, please go on Oprah and tell everybody it's good to eat olive oil. Here's $1 million, or whatever. This is how the world turns, one funeral at a time. 90 essential nutrients. Now, the people that lived in these indigenous zones were eating foods that were grown in soils that were unbelievably rich in minerals. And remember, the only place that minerals come from is the soil. Minerals are 2/3 of the body's nutritional needs. What are the body's nutritional needs? 90 essential nutrients. The breakdown, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 essential fatty acids, 60 minerals, 60 out of 90, that's 2/3. That's 66% of your body's nutrient needs are minerals, things like sulfur and calcium and magnesium and phosphorus and boron and zinc and all these other trace minerals you've never even heard of. This is what the main thing your body needs. I mean, where did I read that? From dust man was made, and to dust he will return. Well, what's dust made out of? Minerals. It's minerals. So guess what? The longest-lived cultures, by sheer luck, lived on parts of the planet where the soil or the water, in the case of the Hunzas it was the water, was rich in minerals, In the Hunzas, it was called glacial milk. The water coming off of the glaciers was so rich in minerals, it was cloudy with mineral silt. It looked like milk, called glacial milk. That's what gave the Hunzas an extra lifespan. So, limited calorie diet, no oil, essential nutrients every day, including minerals. Oh, and by the way, indigenous people are intuitively much more strong than you or I. The intuition of people living in relationship with Mother Earth is much more strong and pronounced than it is in city-fied folk living amongst the skyscrapers and the concrete. The indigenous people's intuition lent them to the practice of putting wood ash in their foods. So how did these people heat themselves? They burned wood. They burned bushes, right? They burned wood. What did they do with the wood ash that was left over? Well, you or I would throw it away. But their intuition was so acute that something told them to put the ash in their food. So the white ash, directly underneath the pot that they were hanging over the fire to cook their soup or heat the water for their coffee or tea, was white, because that part of the fire was the hottest part of the fire. The heat from the fire would come from the fire, would bounce up, hit the pot, and bounce back. And so the heat underneath the pot was doubly hot, and the ash underneath the pot was bone white, because all the carbon had been burned away. The ash directly underneath the pot, of course, potash. That's where the term came from. So the indigenous people, being in tune with their intuition, would put the potash in their bread, in their stews, in their food directly. They'd put it in their food, for goodness sake. And they put the gray ash on the periphery of the fire in their gardens. Why? Because their intuition told them to do it. Why? Because they were in tune with Mother Nature, in tune with the ineffable Spirit of God, which is inside of each one of us. That's where intuition comes from. It's direct perception of your soul's intelligence. That's what intuition is. It's direct perception of your soul's intelligence. Ever had a tingly sensation in the back of your neck when somebody's staring you down from behind and you turn around and you don't know why, and there they are? Well, that's your intuition. Ever thought about something and then 5 minutes later it happens? You're thinking about your long-lost cousin for out of the blue, and then 5 minutes later they call you up? That's intuition. There's a way to massage and strengthen your intuition. We're going to talk about that this Monday night on my Monday night webinar. It's about yoga. How about that? Look, even if you're a Christian, even if you're a Catholic, even if you're a Buddhist, even if you're an atheist, it does not matter your religious persuasion. Yoga will help you in your relationship to your own spirituality. It will, and I'm going to explain why this Monday evening on my birthday webinar, all about yoga. Check it out. But I digress. So the indigenous peoples put wood ash in their gardens and in their food. What is wood ash? It's minerals. Minerals. What happens? Well, the plants growing in the soil, the trees growing in the soil, the bushes growing in the soil, the roots suck the minerals out of the soil. The plant metabolizes the minerals, turns them into colloids, And then we burn the plant, we burn the bush, we burn whatever it is for heat. Now, the heat of the fire degrades the sugars and the carbons and the cellular material, the fibers in the plant, but it can't degrade a mineral. You need a laser beam, you need a blast furnace to degrade a mineral, and then you only melt it. So, wood ash is mostly minerals left over from the plant. So how about that? So, ironically, the indigenous people living in the blue zones were, by sheer force of intuition, mineralizing their bodies with wood ash, which made them healthier than you or I. Made them healthier than you or I because they were securing 66% of their body's nutritional needs every single flippin' day. Until you found longevity, you're getting nothing, nada, squat, zero. Well, maybe not zero. Maybe 10, 20, 30% if you're lucky. Last thing that they did was they were also eating or drinking stuff that they made themselves, right, that was loaded with antioxidants. The Vilcabambas in Peru were eating a chocolate, not Hershey's chocolate, but a Vilcabamba chocolate recipe that had 20,000 ORAC points. They were securing 20,000 ORAC points of antioxidants a day. The average American gets 1,500. The average Canadian gets 1,200. And we get 1,200 and 1,500. They get 20,000. We die in our 70s after 20 years of pain and suffering, and they live to be over 100 with no doctors, no medical insurance, no hospitals. They're lucky if they have a roof over their head. Ladies and gentlemen, knowledge is power. Take your 90 essential nutrients, eat a limited calorie diet, restrict the oils, restrict the 10 bad foods, take the plant minerals, take the antioxidants, live long and prosper. Give me a call instead of going to your MD, 866-582-9933. Going to talk to Douglas in San Diego when we come back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Who's that sneaking around? You know who it is. It's Big Pharma, trying to convince you that their way is the only way. These are the same people that tried to convince you that there was no harm and no foul in smoking cigarettes. Oh, those cigarettes, they're perfectly fine. Don't you believe it. You're smarter than that. Longevity Nation is smarter than that. And we are the standard bearers for a new way of existing on planet Earth. Guess what? Existing on planet Earth with health and walking around planet Earth with wealth. Imagine that. Let's go to Dave and Pam and see what they're up to. Dave and Pam, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hi, Doc.
Hi, Doc. How are ya?
Fantastic. What's happening? Where are you guys calling from?
Michigan.
Oh, very nice. The Upper Peninsula? Whereabouts in Michigan?
In the thumb.
In the thumb. Very nice. Did you get blasted last week with cold air?
We did, and we got a nor'easter bearing down on us as we speak.
Oh, holy smokes. I'm from New England, and I've lived through a couple of those. I lived through a couple of nor'easters 30 miles out to sea on a little island, and let me tell you, it can be pretty exciting.
Yeah, it gets pretty crazy out here, too.
So, welcome aboard, guys. Thanks for the phone call. What's up?
Okay, well, in February, I called you up, and I had a whole list of issues going on, and I was 200 and some pounds back then. Today, I am 120 pounds, and I am no longer taking my Wellbutrin or my omeprazole or my Armour Thyroid. I don't have any anxieties anymore, or hot flashes, or leg cramps, or heart palpitations, or hemorrhoids and joint pain and stuff like that. So
holy smokes. Whoa. Slow down. My mind is spinning in the wind here. So how much weight did you lose?
Well, almost 100 pounds. My husband, Dave.
Oh, that's all. Just 100 pounds. Oh, my God. What is this?
I lost 105 pounds.
Oh, my God.
And
now,
our daughter lost 70.
Come on. So we're up to 275 pounds family-wide. Now, in the past, had anybody in the family tried anything else like Weight Watchers or anything like that?
Oh, Oh, yeah, we've been yo-yoing back and forth for, 20 years.
Yeah, and is there, besides the extreme weight loss, what was the difference in your experience of our weight loss program with the other ones that you've done?
Well, this one is permanent, and the other ones weren't.
And, one of the keys, of course, to a weight loss program is a limited calorie diet. So how has it been eating a limited calorie diet with our approach?
We don't count calories. You know what? We stopped the 10 bad foods. We don't really eat the gluten-free products. We don't like to eat anything that's been processed in a box, or in a can. We eat all organic, all, natural. We don't eat any sugar, none of that stuff. Once in a while, the wife will bring home some gluten-free cookies or something, for that little sweet high, But, it's not very often, and we don't ask for it. She just thinks that we need it or we're craving it or something, and then it comes home and we eat it, and then we regret it afterwards.
Yeah, isn't that the truth, right? So are you completely, like grain-free? Do you do homemade bread or anything like that?
Nothing like that. The only grain we eat is brown rice or quinoa.
Wow, you're an inspiration. I mean, that's 275 pounds for the whole family.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start to cry here in a minute. Now, Pam, give me a list of the other things that you had that you don't have anymore.
Well, I don't take any of my medications at all. The hot flashes, leg cramps, heart palpitations, hemorrhoids, itchy skin. I had brown and white discolored patches on my arms, and that was, I guess oxidation on the outside.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah, and so I don't have third-stage kidney disease anymore.
Wait a minute. What? You had third-stage kidney disease? How long would you have third-stage kidney disease? Holy smokes. So hold on to that answer. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not on the edge of your seat, you're not human. Stick around. This is a fantastic Friday the 13th. I wish every week was Friday the 13th. Talking to Dave and Pam from Michigan. Stick around, folks. You don't need to know anything about medical philosophy. You don't need to know anything about biochemistry. You don't even need to know how to spell vitamin. All you need is good, new-fashioned common sense. You need to see results. Results speak for themselves. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. If you stick around longevity long enough, you will see testimonials that will make your jaw drop. We're getting one live right now from Michigan with Dave and Pam. Welcome back, Dave and Pam. Are you still with me?
Yes.
All right. So how long were you in stage 3 kidney failure?
Oh, well, I probably over 8 years.
Yeah, and the MDs probably told you, if my memory serves, that there was nothing for you to do except wait until it got so bad that they'd put you on dialysis, right?
Yeah, they weren't doing nothing.
Yeah, they weren't doing nothing for you, just waiting, twiddling their thumbs until it gets so bad. Now, this really highlights in bold face the philosophy that MDs are trained in and that most people in the United States are completely unaware of. Your MD is trained to believe that once you're sick, you're screwed, that there's no hope for you to recover your health, and that your only option is to let the MD march in with drugs and surgery to orchestrate a hostile takeover of your metabolism and manage your symptoms. So often with kidney disease, because they can't fix anything, or with cancer, I've had a number of patients with leukemia, beginning stages of leukemia, and they go to the oncologist, and the oncologist says, well, you're not bad enough to treat. Come back in 3 months when the leukemia is really bad, and then we'll give you chemo. And it's like, what? People don't, the average Joe and Jane on the street think that the MD is trained to help them recover from disease, but they are not. The MDs, bless their hearts, I mean, it's not, this is not an exposition against, this is not an anti-MD show. This is just call a spade show. This is like pull back the curtains and just let's see what's going on so we can make an informed decision. Your medical doctor might be the nicest human being in the world, but they are not trained in medical therapeutics which heal anything, because they don't think that it can happen. They do not think your body can heal itself. They think that you have heartburn because you have a stomach. Mm-hmm. They think you gain weight because you have a stomach. So you're overweight. Well, let's just cut your stomach out. What? Right. This is the insanity that everybody puts up with. Now, I'm very, very interested here, Pam, to find out how you folks heard about Youngevity. So how did that happen?
Dr. Wallach was a guest on Alex Jones.
Yeah.
And so we, started listening to Dr. Wallach, and we signed up, and, it's been just a...
Glidden was on Alex Jones and Ben Fuchs, and we listened to you guys daily.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was through the Grassroots Radio Network. First Alex Jones, and then, you get involved in the Youngevity Network, and that's just a remarkable story. I mean, that's just a remarkable story. Honestly, I wish that Alex would be a little bit more involved in Youngevity than he really is. He's done a lot for Youngevity, and thank God for Alex Jones, but I'm not really sure that he gets it the way that you guys get it. I'm not sure that he gets it the way that you guys get it. Somebody needs to give him a talking to. I've tried on a number of occasions, but, getting through to a big celebrity like that is just about impossible. But in any event, right, you can't argue with the results. So I guess the next question to ask is, have you considered or are you doing anything actively with building a Youngevity business?
Well, it just doesn't seem like a lot of people are believing. I mean, I tell them everything, and they see what's going on. Our hair is starting to turn brown again, and, all these things are gone. But people are just like, well, can I get that at the vitamin store? And I say, you know what? You can find similar things, but it's going to cost you more. You're going to have to buy 3 bottles to compare to my 1 bottle of, digestive enzymes, and you're not going to get the effectiveness. So it's going to take a while for some people.
Well, it's like pulling teeth, isn't it? It's like pulling teeth.
It is, yeah. It's
well, let me give you some advice. All right, let me give you some. I'm going to give it to you whether you want it or not, because this is important, and you guys are awesome. I mean, you guys are awesome. Yeah, I've been in Youngevity for almost 4.5 years now. This is the most remarkable thing. Well, it's in the top 5 of family testimonials that I've heard. You guys have gold here. You have gold in order to grow a Youngevity business with. However, here's the way that it is, and this is important. This is an important perspective to kind of wrap your minds around, right? If you wanted to fly a plane, you wanted to learn how to become a pilot, you wouldn't just go to the airport, rent an airplane, jump in it, and try to fly it all by yourself, would you? They wouldn't even let you do that. For goodness sake, you'd crash and you'd burn. You'd kill yourself if you tried to do that. You need instruction. If you cobbled together $500,000 or whatever it costs to own a McDonald's franchise, McDonald's wouldn't even let you start until they sent you to Hamburger University, I think, for 6 months, because you need to be trained and educated as to how to make that particular business model work. It's no different with Youngevity. There is a way to show this to people which will make them run away from you, and there is a way to show this to people to make them run towards you. You need to learn how to show this to people to make them run towards you. Now, so you have to learn. You have to be taught. You have to go to school. You have to go to distributor school. Now, Youngevity doesn't have a distributor school, but what Youngevity does have is a very coalesced network of individuals. So, my advice to you, call Youngevity customer service. Call their 800 number. Give them your name or your customer ID number and tell them you want the name and the phone number of somebody in your upline who is driving a very successful longevity business. Find somebody in your upline who is very successful at longevity. Somebody is there. Somebody's there. And then you call them, introduce yourself, and say, look, this is Pam and Dave from Michigan. We want you to teach us how to have a successful longevity business. And then you do everything they tell you to. If you're open to coaching, and if you're open to learning, and if you're open to treating this like, a new skill that you have to acquire, you will succeed beyond your wildest dreams. But if you try to make it up all by yourself and just figure it out all by yourself, well, maybe 4 years from now you'll figure it out. But it'll be frustrating, it'll be difficult, it'll be like swimming upstream, and you'll probably just chuck the business because you'll think incorrectly it's just not for you. But it is for you. It's so much for you. But in order to make this baby fly, you gotta be taught how to work the plane.
Well,
so look,
how about on one of your webinars, because I joined up for your webinars. I get your newsletters. I post a lot of stuff on Facebook, but I seem to be spending more on the family than,
Well, so you need individual coaching, not just generic webinar information, right? I'm telling you, there's a learning process here. There's a learning curve. You got someone to teach you how to drive a car. You didn't just jump in the car, right? It was your brother or your sister or your mother or your father that sat in there and helped you learn how to drive the car. It's exactly the same with longevity. You must lean on your upline. Find a successful business builder in your upline, call them up and say, look, I need you to teach me how to be successful at longevity. Because that's the upline's job. Right. And I tell you what, man, there is somebody in your upline who is waiting for your phone call. There is somebody in your upline who has been looking for you their entire life. And they will bend over backwards, hold your hand, and teach you how to do this. And then once you dial it in, once you learn how to fly the plane, right, once you crest the learning curve, there's nothing but blue skies. I am telling you, this is a remarkable financial opportunity, especially for people with a remarkable testimonial like this. You just need some good old-fashioned coaching. Trust me on this. It's got nothing to do with Michigan. It's got nothing to do with your community. It's got nothing to do with the economy. It's got nothing to do with anything other than a lack of training.
Right.
So just get trained and change the world, because if you can't do it, nobody can. I'm telling you.
Well, I just got a couple questions before.
I'm good to go. Shoot.
Okay. So right now, that Prilosec I was on for 15 years, it filled my body with yeast, and I have leaky gut. I did a CDSA, and, I don't absorb anything, and I have very little of the right bacteria. Yeah. And so now I have this left foot drop, like pins and needles in my left foot, and my arm is a little numb, my right hand. Yep. And I have a lot of food allergies, so I'm very limited to what I have. But 80% of my diet is vegetables, 20 is chicken, and my fruit is avocado. And so I've been taking the nystatin pure powder since July, and then I just did a 4-day, every other day treatment of the Diflocan. Yeah. I got B12 shot last week and a B shot 12 Wednesday, and on Tuesday I started taking some warm lemon juice, and, for the past 4 days I've had diarrhea, and I'm very weak. I just, very, very weak. I started working out after, 10 or 11 months of years of no exercise, and taking longevity faithfully since February 15th, and lost close to 90 pounds. I just started to work out now, and so I don't know if, a little bit of that.
Well, are you experiencing fever or chills since you've been really weak? You got night sweats in the middle of the night, or are you feverish at all?
I have been having some night sweats. I wake up after 4 hours. I'm totally awake. I go take my probiotic, and I fall right back to sleep.
Yeah.
But I fall asleep sometimes after I eat, you know.
Yeah. So, all right. So you need to switch to the healthy blood sugar pack.
I take the sweeties.
How many?
Each meal.
How many?
4 after each meal.
All right. So take the sweeties. So you do 12 a day?
8.
All right, so do 12 a day between meals, not after the meal. Do 12 a day between meals. So, 2 hours after breakfast, 2 hours after lunch, 2 hours after dinner, not just, at dessert, right?
Okay.
Take it on an empty stomach. If that makes you feel funky, then eat a half of a banana or a little bit of an apple or some cheese or something to settle your stomach.
I can't eat any of that. I can't have bananas, apples.
She doesn't eat anything sweet, no sugar, no fruit.
All right, well, eat something that'll settle your stomach. I believe that the weakness that you're experiencing is a blood sugar issue, plain and simple. Your blood sugar needs to be dialed in, and it's not. And it's entirely possible that your blood sugar might be too low. It might be too low because of your prohibition from all the sugary stuff because of the yeast infection. This is a little interesting thing for me. Finally, I've got something I can stick my teeth into here. Stick around, Dave and Pam. I'm going to tighten this up for you when we come back. I'm so very happy that you called. Are you an insider yet? If not, why not? It's a great Christmas present also. It's a month-by-month subscription or a year's subscription to my online health recovery information, which includes over 100 hours of archived health webinars and 4 hours of live health webinars every week for the ridiculously low fee of $20 a month. Check it out, fireyourmdnow.com. Why? Because my people are destroyed by lack of knowledge, and there's a new sheriff in town. His name, Youngevity. Let's finish it out today with Dave and Pam in Michigan. So, Pam, how much do you currently weigh?
120.
All right. So, 9 times out of 10, neurological stuff like you've got going on is a function of funky blood sugar. All right. That's what's causing the foot drop, and that's what's causing the neuropathy in your extremities. It's a blood sugar issue, but it's not going to hurt, especially in your case, to take extra essential fatty acids. So how many EFAs are you taking a day?
10.
Okay. And are you eating any food that has any cholesterol in it whatsoever?
Well, everything says no cholesterol, but I have
eggs or meat or chicken? How about eggs or meat or chicken? Yeah.
Chicken every day and eggs every other day.
All right. So when you eat chicken, I want you to eat chicken with the skin. I want you to eat the skin with the chicken, okay? Because there's a ton of cholesterol in chicken skin, Can you eat butter?
I don't.
All right, so you can eat clarified butter because you can't be allergic to clarified butter because clarified butter has no protein in it. The clarification process eliminates the protein but maintains the healthy fat. So do a little Google search for clarified butter, or there's another term for it. It's called ghee. Ghee. You can make it at home. You basically bring butter to a boil and skim the stuff off the top. They've got videos on YouTube that'll just walk you through how to make it. Okay. So clarified butter, it's impossible to have an allergic reaction to because you can only be allergic to protein. Now, the other thing that we have to get settled here is the overgrowth of yeast in your gut, right?
Yes.
All right. So when you did that stool test, did they test for the preponderance of yeast in your body?
What would it be under?
Well, what was the name of the test?
It was CDSA by Genova Diagnostics.
Yeah, Comprehensive Digestive Stool Analysis. Did they do parasitology?
Analyte.
No, it would say that we found this yeast in your body. And then there's a separate page where they would have cultured the yeast and they would have tried to kill it with 4 herbs and 4 prescription meds. Is that ringing a bell?
Doesn't show that.
Yeah, so you probably got the wrong test. And Genova, I'm not such a big fan of Genova. Remember, this isn't my first rodeo.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, if you're going to spend cash for a test like that, then doctor's data is the only way to go. doctor's data is the only way to go. And I'm licensed in the state of Minnesota. I can probably get a test for you. So send me an email. Do you guys have my email address?
I do not.
Okay, so I don't want to give it out over the airwaves, but I'll tell the producer here what it is, and he can tell you what the email is offline.
Okay.
Send me an email sometime in the next 24 hours, and I'll tell you where to go to get this test. And here's why, right? Because when someone's had an overgrowth of candida for yeast for a long, long time, instead of guessing about how we're going to kill it, we need to know how we're going to kill it. It's a relatively easy thing to do. So you do a stool analysis, you capture the yeast out of the stool analysis, you grow the yeast in a petri dish, and then you try to kill it with 5 or 6 or 7 different things, and then you look to see which one kills your yeast the most efficiently. It's a relatively easy test to do, and it would save you months of unnecessary therapeutics. So that's the next step you need to take. Because remember, sugar isn't a big bad voodoo daddy. You need sugar. Your chromosomes, your DNA are made from sugar. Sugar is the gasoline of your body. The problem isn't sugar, it's how much is in there and whether or not there's stuff in there that shouldn't be there, like yeast, that's gobbling it up and making trouble for you. So send me that email. I'll dial this in for you. And then once we get the right program every week, you should experience greater and greater, I mean, how much better can it get, amounts of health. You guys are the greatest. Keep up the good work. Ladies and gentlemen, God willing, back in the saddle on Monday. See you then.